to Two Babies in a Business, a podcast about business, growth, marketing, strategy, staff, clients, babies and marriage. I'm Christina. This is Peter. We're founders and leaders of CIPR Communications, and we are talking about marketing budgets and how to build one.
Yes, I think today we're going to be talking about specifically basing your marketing budget based on your business goals, right? I think one of the major things that people do wrong in this space is, basically come up with a number and decide that that's their marketing budget based on maybe what's left over at the end of the year, or maybe some number they just came up to in their minds. I don't know. I don't. Sometimes I'm baffled by exactly where the numbers come from. But really, understanding your business goals and objectives should be the base of your marketing budget.
Yeah, I think it's really easy. And as someone who in our company has their eye on kind of the money in and out all the time, I think it's really easy to fall into okay, well, we have this much money left over, we can do this month. But I think really good advice is this kind of never base your marketing budget on what's left over after covering all your other expenses. Yeah. Like, it needs to be a line item. It needs to be something that you're thinking about, and it needs to drive towards your goals. And I think for me, over the last, I would say, year, 18 months, we've really kind of shifted our thinking around our marketing budget, but also solidified it. I think also when you're a smaller company, you do tend to fall into, okay, whatever's left over. But over the last 18 months, I think we've seen what marketing tactics really work for us and what don't. And so, obviously we've had a bit of experimentation. Things that have worked, things haven't, and we've shared that in previous episodes. But from a budget perspective, it's now allowed us to maximize that budget. And I think, the first thing I'll talk about here in terms of setting your marketing budget based on your business goals is, I almost want to pick on like marketing automation again, which we talked about in the last episode. For us, that was a cool, shiny object. It didn't, I guess in a way, in a kind of squiggly line way, we could tie it to business goals of nurturing leads and whatever, but there was no direct correlation between that investment in a marketing tactic and our goals at the time that were based on bringing in new leads. Not necessarily, like, we didn't really have any need at the time to be nurturing current leads because we were kind of all over those files anyways, nurturing people as we went. So this kind of notion, and we help clients do this all the time when it comes to strategizing, right? We build the tactical plan, and okay, everything that was in your digital marketing blueprint doesn't get executed in month one. But these 6 things do, or these 4 things do. And okay, this can be your budget for the quarter. So, what objectives do you need to hit in this first quarter? What are the marketing tools, tactics, strategies, campaigns that can get you there? Yeah. And assign that. So align those marketing tactics and the dollars that are with them to that goal, right? If your business objective for the year is about creating more inbound leads and having a more polished brand, then maybe you need to think about a new website. And okay, what does that look like from a budget perspective over the course of 6 months or a year or 3 months, or right? I think those things are really important to unpack and to think about, right? Your marketing budget shouldn't just be this big number that you float for every year and spend it all and hope for the best, but this kind of strategic outlook of month by month.
Yeah. Well, and I like to look at it not only for our own business, but for our clients, is I like to look at it as things that bring in some short-term wins and some things that are longer term as well. So I think it's important, to think about your marketing budget based on those goals. It's like, again, us, we have right now an outbound call center that's kind of meeting our short-term needs in terms of bringing in leads right now today. And then we're doing content strategy, content marketing strategy, and SEO for a longer term strategy, right? And that will not generate any leads for us in the short term, but in the long term, that may kind of result in less need for some of that more short-term stuff, right? So I always think about, for clients, it's like, how can we design to help you work through, okay, so we've developed a digital marketing blueprint. We know what your business goals are. We have your wish list of everything you need to do or want to do. And then it's like, okay, how can we allocate things to make them actually work for you? And I like to sort of always say that, if we can devise some short-term campaigns and short-term strategies that's going to generate immediate business or quick business for you, hopefully the return on that investment will help then to become almost, I always say it's like, okay, now we're working, the bank's been paid back, and so now we're working on extra money, i.e. we've generated some new sales. That extra money then could be then maybe allocated towards more long-term stuff, is the way I like to try to think about it with clients. It's not always possible, depends on the situation. But and this is again where understanding your economics comes in, because like how many people need to get to your website, and how many people of those percentage of those convert, and how many of those turn into sales, and what's the average sale cost, and all of those kind of factors need to come in to really understand then what that marketing budget needs to be, and whether it's going to produce a return on investment in the short, medium, and long term.
Yeah, and I think this is too where like a good kind of well-rounded marketing and communications agency will really help you, right? So if you have an agency on record and you've gone through, what we do, a strategic process with them, and you're starting to map things out, they should know your budget because you know your budget. So they should know your budget too. And they should know your goals because you know your goals. And then they can be bringing that strategic thought to the table about when certain things need to be turned on and off, and when you need the extra secret sauce or juice or tactics or whatever it is. And so I think that's that other, important factor of bringing someone strategic to the table, is they're going to make that marketing budget go even further, because your goals for each month, quarter, year are going to be top of mind. I think too about, for us, you brought up graphic design and creative for us as a business in the last episode. And when I think about kind of business goals and objectives, I kind of think about that piece. And, for CIPR, our business goals and objectives are about being a great marketing and communications agency. And they always have been. And so when you think about, okay, do I need to kind of figure out this creative side of our business? How much do I need to generate? What marketing do I need to do to keep a full-time employee busy? What's the close rate on creative contracts? What's the so all of those factors and questions. And, all of a sudden you get down this wormhole of, okay, now I'm spending money on something that's not even my business goal. And I think for us, that was a really important kind of, one, reinvention of our business, but two, our reinvention of who we were as business leaders in this company. And so with that in mind, I think, as a listener, think about, your salespeople that you've hired, and what does your marketing need to do to make sure that those people are busy. If you have a full-time salesperson, so I'll use you as an example, because you're, I would say at least 3/4 time salesperson. It's like, what do we need to do from a marketing perspective to ensure you're really busy? And I mean, obviously we have growth goals. So it's like, hey, can we get to a point where we need 2 of you? And that's not a bad thing. And that's a conversation that we're willing to have internally. And so I think a listener needs to think about too, okay, if I have a sales team, or if I have some other operational player, if I have inventory sitting on a shelf, but what do you need to keep all of those things moving? Because obviously your business goals are keeping your staff at maximum capacity, keeping your inventory moving, and all of those pieces, I think, become really important from a goals perspective.
Yeah. And maybe I'll just sort of leave it with there's a lot of stats out there in terms of percentages and all that kind of stuff. And depends on the industry, and B2C and B2B and all that kind of stuff. And depends on how old you are as a business, whatever. But fairly common for businesses with revenues less than $5 million to allocate about 7 to 8% of the revenues to marketing. And that really gets split between brand development costs such as websites, sort of blogs, content development, sales collateral, promotional costs, and as well as campaigns, advertising, and events. So, I mean, there's sort of the brand piece, and then there's sort of the campaigns and getting your brand out there pieces, and those are kind of two buckets. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest that if you're not in that 7 to 8% range, you're probably growth is going to be a challenge, right? And the only other thing I'll say about this too, and we had this conversation internally at CIPR, is like, like, listen, if you're like, holy crap, that's way too much percentage. Like, I don't, it's not, I can't do it. Can you raise your prices then? Because this is a cost of this is a cost of sales, right? And so, I mean, you need to factor in your marketing costs into your pricing, because if that's what it takes to generate a sale, that's what it takes to generate a sale. And so if you're like, don't have enough margin left to generate a sale, then you're not going to be in business for very long, unfortunately, right? And so, I mean, again, easier said than done, a lot more complicated. I understand cash flow. I understand people's financial positions, and business is tough and all this stuff going on out there. But, the companies that aren't going to invest enough probably aren't going to survive, sadly. And I think especially now in the digital age, as we're going into more of a digital environment, I think it's more important than ever to make sure that you have a presence online that's strong and working for you.
Totally. So, I mean, technically now, if an agency comes to you or if someone comes to you and says, hey, what's your marketing budget? If you're kind of, in the stream of a revenue less than $5 million, you should be saying 7 to 8% of that. So go, like I've said many times in this series, go sharpen your pencil and figure out what that number is. Because that's a place to start. And, sometimes you need to scale down, and asking yourself these business school questions will allow you to scale back in places you need to, from a cash flow or whatever it is. But it also might open your eyes to where there's growth potential. And maybe you're going to spend a little bit more some months than that 7 to 8%. But now you have an answer. So for all those people who've told us before, well, I don't know what my marketing budget is, why don't you tell me a number and I'll tell you if it's right. It's like, no, you need to know your number, because we don't know your revenues. Your agency that you're going to doesn't know. You need to be the master of your money on this one.
And I'll just leave it with one more thought, as a sales coach once told me, or recently told me, is that if and this is more of told me as an agency owner, if you're solving somebody's problem, they always find a way to find the money. And so if your problem is your business isn't growing, then you should find a way to find the money to make it grow. Like, let's be honest. That's really, as a business owner, that's really your objective, is to grow your business, or at least maintain it. So if this is a major pain for you, then maybe money needs to be reallocated to here, to make this pain go away.
It's true. Well, there you have it.
There you have it, folks.
What's your plan for this evening? He doesn't know. He doesn't know, folks. He has no plans for this evening.
You haven't told me yet.
There's another good tidbit. Ask your wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.